Hi, I'm Ash Sharma, class of 2012. Today I'm here with Max Macaulay doing an interview for Headmaster's Heritage Community.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ash Sharma, for joining us at the Heritage Committee. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me for this opportunity for the Heritage Committee to go and speak here.
Well, awesome. Thank you. So let's get straight into it. Grammar has clearly been a very important part of your life. What made you come across this decision to donate the RAT test as a way to give back to grammar?
Well, clearly, ever since the pandemic started, we have been trying to push the rapid antigen kit since 2020 in June, since the pandemic kind of started.
Yeah.
And then obviously it was there to kind of combat, the vaccine rate was not that fast, and obviously we have given back to community quite a lot. It's not just, we have been in the rapid antigen space since March 2020, and looking at grammar as a family to me, and I saw that, hey, this is something needed in the community. I just jumped hoops and donated in grammar, and more importantly, it was the access to get hold of it, and I knew that our company has powers in the supply chain, which we showed in Australia, which showed in UK, where when there was a demand needed, we fulfilled it straight away. And the same in New Zealand, we supplied to over 80% of businesses when the Omicron wave hit. So we look at it, hey, grammar was a family to me, and it means a lot. And I was talking to Mark about it. I was like, hey, why don't Mark Crook was my tech teacher, and then I was talking about the rapid antigen kits to him, and surprisingly, that time I think grammar did order kits, but they did had a problem at the customs where it was a mistake that occurred. But I said, hey, give back to the community and the students and the staff, to help support the infrastructure to build, imagine not having 2 weeks of classes or 3 weeks of classes, and that means a lot on a time value, and so that's what decided me to, hey, give back to the community, and that was the reason behind it, essentially. It's more like helping out a family,
Yeah. I guess grammar is one big family.
One very big family. Yeah. Everyone, in some shape or form where I am today has, helped me. Definitely the tech department. I still remember in my final year of high school, I was doing other extracurriculars, and there was a lot of support from the grammar community to be where I am.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Connected to your time at grammar, looking back at your time, what do you consider as your most enjoyable or favorite moment?
My favorite moment? I would say my favorite moment will be, it was usually the lunch breaks, I would say, because I used to mingle with friends and stuff. But I would say the most memorable moments for me was when, I think that time when I did, I think it was in 5th form or 6th form, that's when the tech department got 3D printers. So I was really into those, new technologies, and I've always been forefront of it. So that's something I saw, hey, this, in grammar school, I saw this is really innovative technologies coming in, and I did spend a lot into building this VR goggles and everything. And I think the other thing about grammar community is that they're quite open-minded, and they help you where you go. So I really enjoyed the time when you get to mingle with friends and different classes, and you do extracurriculars, and also I was into the table tennis team and tennis as well. So it gives you a little bit more room to so these were the memorable moments where you do your extracurriculars as well as your studies, you know.
Yeah, I guess it gives you the opportunity to try a really wide range of things and
Yeah.
meet a lot of different people.
Yeah, and different cultures, different, you know. So those, like, you know, we met people from who come, like, international students.
Yeah.
Was really important for us to kind of understand, like, hey, how the lifestyle is in that country. Exchange students, so that kind of, you know, gave us a little bit more to think where, you know, and those are some tiny things where, you know. Oh, and then obviously the most memorables would be like the school run they make you do in fourth form. So that's also another. I've never done that much running my whole life, pretty much, but that was pretty, yeah.
I know fourth formers today still dread the school cross country.
Yeah, the cross country and all those things. So yeah, so those activities, like, I still keep as a memory, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just like, but more importantly, I think the biggest accomplishment from the tech department was when they got the 3D printers and the new machineries. And I think Mr. Bennett was there at that time, and it was like, you know, a new thing, a new leap for us to move forward in that, and that really, you know, kind of kept me going.
Yeah.
Things, yeah.
Oh, awesome. How important for you was being able to experience entrepreneurship challenges outside of school, and how did it help you develop the skills that you use every day?
Right. So I think the core, like, fundamentals was that, like, as I said, my school sets the foundation.
Yeah.
So Grammar has some very successful entrepreneurs. Like, you know, they have been really, you know, helpful with the community. So I think in Grammar, me joining in the product design and the tech in the final year of my high school, there was a lot of doors open for the seventh formers and I think mainly seventh formers, and I had a lot of support from my teachers. So like Mark Crook, Nick. They were just supporting me right throughout the whole tech department pretty much, and that kind of set me to whether I go to a university path or take the entrepreneurial path. And you know, the thing about entrepreneurship is that the core basics is that you're gonna fail many times before you know. It's like in grammar, like when you fail an experiment, or in physics, or you do something, they say, okay, let's try again. So some of the foundations that were set in school has led me to, you know, not give up.
Yeah.
And you know, and still having the contact with your teachers and saying, okay, you're going through this difficulty times. They guide you, you know, they are your foundations. So wherever we are today here, that's because of our teachers, because they set the foundation. And Grammar is a community that has, you know, has led that foundation for people like me to, you know, keep going and keep failing fast, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I learned, and I kept, you know, kept it to my brain pretty much.
Yeah, I guess that support structure.
The support
so
structure,
crucial.
yeah. And it's very important, like, you know, if you meet with the teachers and you be open towards it. There are sometimes students are not that open to what they want to with the teachers, and they treat school slightly different, but you know, for me it was a different place where I learned a lot of things, and I still apply some of the things that, you know, Mark taught me, and Nick and Mr. Meller and all these teachers that are still in the tech department. They, you know, and then same in my other teachers that were around me. I do remember that, you know, when it came to you know, certain times that I did wanted to do things that were not the conventional method, I had the support from my teachers, you know. But also, like in entrepreneurship, it's every day is different. Like it's not like today might be your best day, tomorrow might be your worst nightmare, you know. So you have your ups and downs in every day, and yeah. So I think the key is that you fail, but you don't give up, and that's one of the things, you know, that I picked up from school.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
A major part of your research has been helping others, from helping the blind and mute with your work, with your work with Equinox, importing rat tests. What would you say is your greatest inspiration to helping your community and the communities around New Zealand and the world?
So I want to make world a better place. Like whatever, that's the thing that gets to me in the morning. We have a company that's also in the food industry, that's Equinox Distribution. So we import like gluten-free, organic, vegan. There's so many, you know, like into the food sector as well. Yeah. So my greatest inspiration is that, you know, we're trying to just make world like a better place. Like how can we combat it together? And that's we're trying to solve a common problem. Like take for example for the rapid antigen kits, the thing was that we looked at PCR, like PCR testing, right? So PCR testing was $300, one PCR test, right? Whereas a red test was $15 and gives you the same, same result. So obviously then the governments were not accepting it, but then you cannot process millions of tests in one go. So like they're predicting that next wave of COVID will be rapid tested fast because the registration was done, the compliance. And so we're actually helping a lot more people to combat and discover diseases. The thing is the vaccine, for underage is still very, very early. But imagine if that elderly person passes on to a young kid and vice versa. It's quite dangerous. So that's kind of, you look at it as that, like your workforce. I remember when the Omicron hit, Auckland airport was running at 20% capacity because they didn't have staff, they didn't have people. So if you don't have the people, you can't run anything. And you can't run product, you can't deliver food, you can't do anything. And so that's the way to help, it's a whole chain. And helping ourselves, but also helping other people is very important because that's, if you are, like, take for example in the blind app one, we actually developed a thing with Microsoft HoloLens where, the idea was to navigate people and like build an AR glass or AR lens that was still a concept, but it still was in the R&D stage where we wanted to give the people an assistance and vision of it. Yeah. And so these are things that we look at this as how we can improve the health. The next thing like Equinox is working is around cancer cells and the R&D. Sure, we don't have you can have your why. Like my why was to help people and make accessible these technologies at massive speed. But how, like, and then the next thing, like as I said, is with the cancer cells. But the other things that I do in the business helps me fund these R&D projects. And so we're looking at, like stem cells and how can we just, the next thing is cancer, for us to go forward in the health industry.
Yeah. Well, it's so cool, this innovative work to, as you say, help the world is, coming, from New Zealand, from Grammar. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you have to put the world as your map, right? Because the problem is just not New Zealand. If you go other countries, you'll see there's other challenges, other problems. There's food shortage, there's everything, There's problems with water, there's problems with everything in the world. So we are actually in the field of everything that's like to do with health primarily, and what you eat, and that's why we are growing in the health sector quite even more. And that's what my passion is because that's quite important to lead your way through the next things.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Over your time at Grammar, you have been a part of a lot of extracurricular activities. How do they, alongside your academic commitments, did you achieve the success that you have achieved today?
Right, so with extracurriculars, like one of the things was Microsoft Imagine Cup that I did in the final year. So straight out of high school, I was hired by Dayacom through that opportunity. We competed against university students in that. So, the biggest hurdle was that I used to do my homework and then, well, not always, but still I used to do my homework. And then I used to code at night. So I've been coding since I was 10. So for quite some time. Yeah. But, and then I used to only get like 3 hours sleep. Then I used to come to Grammar. I used to be pretty tired. But the good thing was that the teachers were a little bit lenient on me at that time in the seventh form. Yeah. But I think with extracurriculars, it is important, but one of the advice I would give is have that balance of what you want to do. Like I overstretch myself, right? And then I shouldn't have done it. But I overstretched it and then the results came a little bit later, And that's one of the things is that with extracurriculars and academics, they're both as equally important. and make the best use of it. Like, if you're playing sports, it's good for your mental health and your health and everything. And so I think having that balance is important. And one of the things that if I had to go back in time, I would just cut a few things out. Like, I wouldn't do as much as I did commit to, because it came to a point where, people were looking to go into universities and this, and you need this, and you need this. So I think just focusing on just your core things that you really love doing as extracurricular is great. And I think if I did have the opportunity to go back, I would cut a few things down on my extracurriculars so that I could have, a little bit had the balance. My extracurriculars are a little bit higher than my academical thing, because I didn't have the conventional way of the whole academia, like, like going through the books and going, like, I was helping in some of the clinical reports. I'm not a medical, but I know how to set it up based on the protocols, like we set it up. So we know how to set up a protocol, how to set up that thing. So you learn by doing it, and then you get a doctor to attestate, and like we have a regulatory body to approve that. Also, like, just like with the rapid antigen kits, like the registration of products, mainly we handled it, and I was leading that side. So I have a little bit unconventional way of academia, but still, I would say have a balance, and balance is very key so that you can have a success. If I had to go back, I would cut a bit of my extracurriculars and balance that out, because it was not properly balanced. It was like extracurriculars are too high and academic, and then it was going up and down. They're as equally as important, I would say.
Yeah, lots of students struggle with just the balance.
Balance of it, because balance is really, really key, so that you don't get too weighed away or too tired. Yeah. What I did is health-wise is affecting me, I would say. So just have that balance.
Important to have the sleep.
Important to have sleep. I wasn't sleeping. I was crazy. Yeah.
Well, thank you. In your last year of school in 2016, I'm not so sure you remember, but there was a Chronicle report where the Chronicle asked a few questions, and I thought it'd be a bit interesting if we repeated some of those questions just to see so maybe how it's changed. 5-6 years. So first of all, do you have any more interesting projects lined up for the future?
Yeah, so I have quite a lot. So the most interesting one is we're building modular hospitals. So we're trying to increase capacity globally. So the biggest problem is same with the rapid antigen kits that we saw as a market. That there was a gap with the PCR. Like PCR was taking time. Rapid antigen kits. We also came up with a new technology where with your cough we can detect you have COVID or influenza.
Oh wow!
So that has gone through a new trial, like UK phase 3 or phase 2 trial. So that's the next thing that we're working on, and it's possible with artificial intelligence. It is possible. Oh, wow. So sometimes I do say things. People say, "What? Like he's maybe crazy," but hey, technically it is possible. The next project is like modular hospitals, as we're trying to build, is because we are trying to increase capacity faster. We're working with governments in UK. We're working with governments in the Pacific. We're working with governments in Lebanon. We're working in Spain. So these are the three major countries that we're working to deploy more hospital beds faster. Because if you look at with COVID, the problem is that you don't have, there's a lot of bed blockers that they don't actually need. So right now, take for example, a friend of mine, her mother waited was cancelled 3 times in New Zealand. So we are also in a process of to deploy these things in New Zealand as well. The idea, she had to get treatment, cancelled 3 times, got the 4th one, 2 p.m. appointment, gets operated at 7 p.m. and discharged, and they don't have a hospital bed to keep her. So like those kind of things, it's not just New Zealand, that's global everywhere. So I look at it, hey, there's an opportunity for us to, so that's the next big project for us, modular hospitals. And then we're looking at deploying some solar farms in Lebanon where they don't have electricity. So that's the next, the big areas that we're looking at.
Oh, awesome.
So our hands are into quite a few things. Yeah.
Continuing on your goal of trying to help the world and Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's because I mean we look at what I mean the hospital thing. We know that since 2020, it's just takes time to get approval with the government because it's very hard to sell to the community. Hey, if you're putting someone in a hotel, it just doesn't work, you know. So we had that idea concept since quite a long time. We got the right team, and we have engagements in different countries, and we're trying to deploy the hospitals basically. So that's the next little project for us, I would say.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then what would you say has been your key achievement to date?
Key achievements. I think if I just quantify, it's like I think when I have a satisfied customer. So far I have certified, like you know, my customers, my business, and everywhere they are all certified. And the most important is that my people who work for me, they're happy, and that's how I look for achievements. It's not the dollar value. It's not that doesn't excite us. What excites us is our customers are happy, our partners are happy, and the people who work for us, they're doing the right thing. The key thing in our company is that we ask every now and then, what is, you know, what do you want to do? What do you want to learn? Are you happy? Do you want to change? So everyone is doing the things that they love doing. No one is doing something that they don't want to. That's a key part in life. And I think one of the key achievements is that we are hitting those milestones and making sure our customers are satisfied and happy. And once they're happy, you know, we are okay. That's what our key milestones are. So far, we have been hitting that. And I think one of the achievements-wise, I would say, is actually, you know, being able to accomplish, because we've been trying, like, I wouldn't say it's a key achievement, but I would say we were trying to register rapid antigen kits in Australia since June 2020. So it took us 2 years to kind of get that. You know, so I would say it was like I was away from my home and everywhere, and just trying to kind of get it, you know, established and registered here. So that took a little bit of time. But yeah, achievements-wise, I would just say that I just want to make sure that people around me is happy, and people. You can't make everyone happy, but hey, at least the key customers, they always say, hey, we are happy, and our partners, and people who work for us. So yeah, so these are I would just say that the key, the major, if you just want to highlight the milestone of it, I would just say would be with the rapid antigen kits, you know, that we were able to achieve on a global scale as well, not just like in domestic scale, but in a global scale we were able to get some government contracts, government tenders, service the people essentially. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ash Sharma, for giving us an insight for the Heritage Committee. Thank you very much.
No problem. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.